What's your name, darling?
I'm Magita. Magita Perez.
Well, Makita, what would you say if I asked you to join Masha and me later upstairs? Masha?
Me?
Is Brian the person I should talk to negotiate that?
No, I'll handle it. I'm, 300. Cash. Up front.
Room 1206. We'll be there by 10:30.
Sounds good, except there's a $200 fee if I'm going above the 10th floor. I'm afraid of heights.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Boys Watching Girls. We're just two boys watching HBO's Girls. We're your hosts. I'm Joe Welke.
I'm Vance.
And today we're talking about Season 5, Episode 6, which is, overall, this is episode 48 in the series, and it's titled The Panic in Central Park. It is directed by Richard Shepard, written by Lena Dunham. The original air date was March 27th, 2016, to an audience of 586,000 people, 0.586 million. And I have to, if I had to give this episode a different title other than The Panic in Central Park, I might name it Another Man's Trash. Or Marnie's One Man's Trash, or, something similar to that. Because this is an all Marnie all the time episode.
Yeah. You've been asking for an episode that's just not an episode that's one of the girls that's not Hannah.
Yeah, because it feels like Hannah always gets those episodes. She always gets the one-off shots of her, and then we get this Marnie episode, and be careful what you wish for. Might be a little bit of a monkey paw situation.
Well, it's interesting this season because we almost got a full-on Shoshana episode.
Yeah, when she was in Japan.
Yeah,
with A.D. Bryant.
But they didn't stick fully with that.
It did not pull the trigger, but they pulled the trigger on this Marnie episode, and there were some things that I was happy about, some story developments that I was happy about, and then there are other things that I was like, what the fuck? This episode just felt like a weird fever dream. It didn't exist or something.
Absolutely. I was waiting for it to be a dream sequence the whole time. And I know the show doesn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it felt like the end of season 1 where the wedding's happening and you're just like, Jess's wedding's happening and you're like, is this real? This isn't real yet, right? And you're like, we're 20 minutes into the episode. Is it still real?
Yeah, this is a very self-contained story almost. Mm. And then just, let's just get into it.
Yeah.
So we don't have to have our usual debate about who to follow.
I was going to ask, should we do Hannah or Desi first?
Yeah, who goes first in this? Hold on, I gotta take off my jacket. It's getting a little warm because I'm getting a little fucking heated.
Oh boy, classic Joe stripping down.
Getting heated. Here we go.
Took 48 episodes from to start stripping on the podcast.
So we start off the episode with Marnie, and she's got headphones on, and she's working on something on her computer, and Desi is sitting exactly right next to her with his guitar, singing nonsense, it seems like, and Marnie's just getting pissed. And she eventually takes off her headphones. She's like, what do you want? Why are you staring at me? What are you doing? And he's like, I just, I wanted to sing a song. I wasn't staring at you. I was just singing a song. She's like, no, you're staring directly at me. What the fuck is your problem? I'm trying to do something. I don't want to talk to you right now. And he's like, well, I want to talk to you because you're the love of my life and my Bella and all this bullshit. And she eventually just kind of snaps on him. And she stands up, and Desi is just kind of like, why are you being so cruel to me? She's like, I'm not being cruel. I'm not being cold. I just need some space. You're up my ass all the time. And Desi doesn't seem to understand that. And he starts to call her cruel and cold and all these things, and calls her Bella all the time, which is just the most douche chill thing in the world.
It feels really condescending when he says it too.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Marnie's basically just saying that how annoyed she is at him, and then he starts sobbing like a little weirdo.
Yeah, that's his go-to move when things get too stressful.
And you know it's not real because he'll snap out of it so quickly. Like, this dude is a psycho.
He's an emotional wreck. Like,
yeah.
There's no ways around it.
Yeah. And the scene basically ends with Marnie being like, I need some space. I'm going out. Bye.
Yeah.
She walks out with Desi screaming, Bella! Bella!
Well, I forget if you mentioned that he says, like, he's going to kill himself or something.
Oh, yeah.
And then she says, no, you're too narcissistic to kill yourself.
Yeah.
And I remember that Hannah says that exact same thing about Marnie.
What?
Like in a different episode.
That's a good callback, dude.
In a different episode,
that's
she's like, oh, she's not going to kill herself. She's too narcissistic for that. So it's really interesting that, I mean, not interesting, just kind of like an Aaron Sorkin-esque, like writers have their lines that they kind of use a bunch.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was interesting because also we talked about suicide being brought up nonchalantly and casually in the show a lot.
Yeah, and it is an interesting thing to do, and that's a very manipulative thing to do. To be like, if you leave, I'm going to kill myself.
Yeah, and it's brought up twice in this episode.
Yeah, dude, it's wild. So she leaves. She's listening to a song that's the lyrics are basically, I don't love you anymore. And it's like, wow, okay. Foreshadowing, Marnie is in a mood. She's in her feels, and we know exactly where this is going. So she's walking. She's listening to the I Don't Love You No More song, and she's walks in it like this graffitied kind of metal shutter type part of town, and there's dudes catcalling her. And she gets to the last guy. There's a group of 4 of them. She gets to the last guy, and he just says, hey. And we find out it is Charlie.
Charlie is back.
Charlie's back in a big way.
I
thought that Charlie was gone forever.
I did not think we'd see this actor again. I did not.
Me neither, especially after our episode with Jeremy.
Yeah.
Talking props with Jeremy. It seemed like there was some bad blood between the production of Girls and the actor who plays Charlie.
Mm-hmm.
And Charlie looks so different in this. And he also, I mean, it's called out later.
Yeah.
He talks so differently that I was like, is this actually the same actor?
Yeah, he has an accent. And it is the same actor. Like, I had to do a double take too, because I was like, did they just cast a guy that looked like Charlie and throw him in here?
Yeah. Yeah.
But no,
it was so weird because so he goes up and he's talking to Marnie. He's like, hey, can we talk? And she's basically like, you left me, told me that you don't love me and that I'm a spoiled baby piece of shit. And we haven't seen each other in 2 years. Like, what do we have to talk about? By the way, I'm also married. And he's like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
But it is wild because he is talking. So he has an accent. And Marnie's like, what are you doing? Why are you talking like that?
Yeah.
Like, you don't talk like that.
Yeah, it's almost like a slight Hispanic New York, Boricuan kind of. I don't even.
Yeah, I don't know what the accent is that he's going for, but he definitely doesn't talk like Charlie anymore. He doesn't really even look like Charlie.
And he's hanging out with these dudes in this shady spot, like this industrial part of like probably Bushwick or I don't know wherever they filmed this, but and it's just like he's just sitting there, and it's this like line pan, like you would do like at a Home Depot, like I watched a show Wayne recently on Amazon, and like at one point they get picked up from like Home Depot where the like people are like trying to get jobs, and it has that like camera move where it like goes down the line, like they're just waiting to be picked up. Like they're just standing, they're like in the middle of nowhere, like not like a work break.
Yeah,
Like,
that's what I was wondering. I was like, what were they doing before
yeah,
Marnie walked by?
yeah,
Like, what is happening?
and
It's just 4 dudes sitting on like a garage
like a
loading dock
a
thing.
loading dock that's not active, that no one is. And I don't know if it's Saturday. I don't know what day it is or whatever. And it led to the fever dreamness of it all, you know?
Yeah, because it just nothing seemed real about it. It was just very, very weird.
Yeah.
So Charlie chases her down. He's trying to get to know her and like have some kind of conversation with her and be like, "Oh, the last 2 years was a mistake," and then his friends come, his like weird druggy looking friends.
Yeah, before that, she mentions like he was an asshole, and he says, "Oh, my dad had died. Then he committed suicide. He hung himself. That's why that's why I told you I never loved you, and I was a jerk." And
yeah,
like you said,
that
friends
seemed like it was made up.
It seems like it was made up, and also I don't understand why. I don't understand why Marnie is buying this. Like why thinks this is like, oh, Charlie, you're sitting in the middle of the nowhere, like you talking about your multiple failed businesses. Like, why is she like, okay, like I get it, she had a falling out with Desi, but seeing Charlie would be like, okay, I need to go. But the thing about this last episode, or one of the last few episodes, she went back to apologize to Desi, which you were really pissed off about. But she did it just because she was like, oh, Hannah, you're doing the same thing I did to Desi. You would think her seeing this rundown Charlie would have the same effect, where she's like, all right, at least it's not him. I'll go back to Desi and stay with him. Like, it's not they set at like, one shouldn't send you one way and the other not, you know?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I can't describe this episode other than it does feel like it's one of those dreams that feels real, but it isn't. But there, I mean, we're not even like 5 minutes into the episode where I'm like, what the fuck is going on in this episode?
Yeah, and I'm just waiting for something to like. I'm like, all right, let me just get my feet on the ground at some point, like because you just introduced Charlie. This is wild. Is he really there?
Yeah.
And
then it was also like why is he talking differently? Like, and then she's asking him about like what happened to his business, and he's like, what business? Mm-hmm. She's like, the business that you had, the app, and he's like, oh yeah, that was just like a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah,
and just brushes it off, and it's like, what other businesses has he had? And like, where's he been?
He's not dressed like a person that's got things together either.
No, and he's not hanging out with people that look like they have their things together either.
Yeah. I mean, the one guy,
especially that UPS.
one guy, what is it, Rips? He's got a job, Rips. At least. He's working at UPS.
Yeah, they all want to like meet with Marnie and be like, yo, so who's this? And Charlie's like, stay away.
And apparently Charlie has some job he's doing with them later that we never see.
Yeah.
Which I thought was like, oh, this is why the next scene is happening. But I was like, at one point I was like, wait, did he plan this, that she was going to walk by today? Because it couldn't have been planned, because she wasn't planning on leaving the apartment. But but the whole thing seemed like, okay, he's coming out and he's like, oh, let's get a dress. That's like the next scene. I got a party to go to uptown. Very fancy people. Do you want to come? She's like, are you serious? He's like, yeah, we got to get you a dress. Not like, hey, go home.
Yeah.
And then meet me later. It's, oh, we got to get you a dress. And yeah, it was so strange. But I want to go back to the opening scene for a minute so that we can never move forward in this episode. She says she wants space in the opening scene when they're on the bed together, which was the biggest argument about him building a wall. Yeah. He said you wanted more space. And she said you wanted more space in general. And he was like, you want space away from me. That's why I'm building a wall. And then in this episode, she kind of confirms Desi's thinking.
Yeah, and also the wall isn't finished at all. Like, the wall looks less finished than it was in the last episode.
Yeah, I think they just stopped.
Yeah.
I don't know if they ever said, oh, let's do this.
Yeah. I mean, it's so weird.
Yeah.
So then they're trying on the dress, and Charlie's grabbing like 9 dresses, and he just puts them in the thing, and he's like, "Here, try these on." He's like, "I gotta go to the bathroom," and then he goes next door to some burrito place. And Marnie comes out in a red sparkly dress, and the store clerk is like, "Oh, that looks great." And then Marnie just spills her entire life to this poor store clerk lady.
Yeah.
She's just like, "Oh, thank you. That man that just left, that's my ex-boyfriend. I'm married now. I don't know. I feel like I've been through so much in my life. And she's like, "Oh, I'm 25 and a half. Like, who says and a half past, 4?
Yeah. And
like, what a child."
And it's also 25 and a half is being brought up twice,
Yeah. Well, as soon as she says 25 and a half, the store clerk rolls her eyes, and I was like, okay,
But
thank
she's
God,
like,
I'm not the only one.
She's like, it figures. Like, I figured or whatever. And, like,
Yeah.
that happens immediately in the next scene.
Yeah. And I don't know. She says even more about what's going on in her life as if the store clerk would care. And she's kind of like, "I don't know what's going on. I had a fight with my husband, and now I'm here." And then Charlie comes back. He's like, "Oh, that looks great. Let's go." And then just throws a bunch of cash on the counter.
Grabs her
and
stuff
then walks out.
Yeah, grabs her stuff out of the dressing room, throws the cash on the counter, and it's just like, all right, we got to go. And I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah. Dude, if Marnie had any sort of intelligence, she would have been like, "Whoa, you just pulled out a bunch of cash." Like, I don't know how much that dress was, but it's New York City.
Yeah.
Things are expensive. And then he just whips out a bunch of cash. Like, people having loads of cash on them is suspicious as fuck.
And it's 2016, so, we've seen American Express cards. It's credit cards. It's no way anyone's paying crumpled cash at Amecord for that dress,
Yeah, and the store clerk doesn't stop him to be like, "Hey, whoa, I got to count this money first, buddy."
Also, you shoved 80 dresses into that that dressing room.
Yeah. I mean, all of this is so suspicious.
Yeah.
And Marnie just is going along with it. And then so it's daytime. And then by the time they get to the party, it's the dead of night.
Yeah.
We just see like a quick montage of the sun going down in between those scenes. It's like, how far away were they walking? Like, is she just in this dress?
Yeah.
She's complaining. She's like, "I don't even have heels." So she had like sneakers on and shit.
Yeah, he rushes her out in the middle of the day, being like, "We got to hurry up." And she's like, "I don't have heels or anything." And then they just, what do they do for the next 3 to 4 hours before the sun goes down?
Yeah. I mean, even if it was like, the sun was out. Like, it wasn't like blue out, golden hour or anything. Like, it was the middle of the day.
Yeah.
And then it's night.
Yep.
And it can't be the winter or anything because she's wearing just like this strapless dress and Charlie's wearing just a jean jacket.
And if someone's like, "Hey, I'm going to this party. It's fancy. You need to get a dress." I can't see Marnie being the person that gets the dress and then is like, "I'm okay wearing some boots."
Yeah. She wasn't, and that's the
And
thing,
were they
she wasn't even
Charlie's
wearing boots.
No.
No. They were her sneakers. She was wearing sneakers because when she left Desi's apartment, she was in sweatpants and like a workout shirt and sneakers. So she's wearing this dress with these like Jordan looking shoes.
Okay. Yeah. Also, skipping ahead to the end real quick. Why does she not have them at the end?
I have no idea.
Okay.
She doesn't have shoes on at the end.
Yeah.
And I don't know. But before we get there.
Yeah. I just wanted to bring, because I would forget about that. I'm just like.
No, believe me, I wrote that down.
Yeah. Okay.
So they get to this party, and it's in this huge, fancy looking golden place. And Charlie, so she's wearing a dress, but Charlie's still wearing jeans and a denim jacket and like a hoodie.
Ripped jeans. Like,
yeah. And like work boots.
Yeah, like he's not like,
so he's like
jeans and a blazer. Like, he does not look like you did. Even if he was just wearing his plaid shirt tucked into his jeans like he was at his office. Like, he's not dressed like that.
No. and they're not like fashionable jeans either. They're like, these are workman jeans. Those are the ones that Brett Favre wears, okay? These are Wranglers or whatever they're called. So they get to the party. Everyone else is like, Marnie fits in. Charlie very obviously does not.
Yeah.
They get to the party. Charlie's like, you stay there. And Marnie's like, what? No. And he's like, no, you got to stay there. And she's like, no, I'm following you. And he's like, all right. Why would he need her to be at this party if he's like, stay there and don't follow me?
This party doesn't make any sense to me. Like,
yeah.
How long were they at this party? Like 10 minutes?
It seems that way.
Yeah, they couldn't have been there longer than an hour based off what happens next.
I would say they couldn't be there longer than a half hour.
Probably.
But yeah, based on what happens next, it had to be shorter than an hour.
Yep.
So he goes up to some random bald old white guy.
You know the ones, people.
You know, the fat cats, the high rollers, the Donald Trumps of the world. And that old bald white guy is with some hot young woman. And Charlie's like, he goes up to the guy and he's like, hey, how's it going? And then the old white guy's like, oh, hello, Brian. That's where Marnie should have been like, what? Because she even does, he's like, oh, Brian, huh? Mm-hmm. And he's like, yeah, huh, this is a lady, this is blah, blah, blah. And then he and the old white guy like go scurry off to do some quote unquote business.
Drug dealing, right? I guess.
That's what it sounded like, because it didn't the girl Masha or whatever, didn't she say that Charlie's bringing the cocaine for them or something?
He's looking into getting us the cocaine for tonight. And then Marnie's like, oh yeah, obviously. And I was like,
yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Did you get filled in on this deal?
Maybe. I don't know. I was lost a little bit at this point. Like, I didn't know what was going on, and you don't really get any answers.
And this is where Marnie says, how old are you, to the girl? And she's like, 25 and a half. And then Marnie's like, it figures, or something like that. And I'm like, oh.
Marnie's like, oh, of course.
Oh. Yeah, 25 and a half is the fall off point, apparently.
Dude. So then the old white guy comes back. Charlie leaves for some reason. And then the old white guy is like, so you're down to meet us upstairs in an hour? That's part of the deal, right? And I was like, what deal? What's the deal? And then Marnie's like, yeah. And he asks her name, and she says it's Margit Riveras or something.
No, Margit, what is it? Megita Perez.
Megita Perez.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, all right, well, how much does it cost? And she's like, $300 up front. And then the guy pulls out $300, and then she's like, and it's a $200 extra fee for something.
Going above the 10th floor because I'm afraid of heights or something. And I was like, that's fun, escort haggling.
Yeah, I did enjoy that.
Yeah, and I was like, she's really good at this though. like too good for her to not be doing this, or to like immediately decide that she's going to do this. Because my thought when this is happening is that, oh, we're still going to stay at this party, right? So like,
yeah, that's what I thought.
It's going to be weird when you hustle a guy and you're still there. Or like if Charlie comes back and he's like, hey, all right, we're just going to hang out with these people for a while, and it's like, I don't know, like, how does she know that I'm going to hustle, get the money, and bounce? Because she gets another $100 for dress rental or
gown thing, because she's like, you don't want me to show up there in my jeans, do you? And the guy's like, ugh. So she hustles this guy at a $600. The guy goes, all right, meet me in room 1206 in an hour. And then he walks off, and then she just dips. And I was like, wow, what a bad, for as much money as this guy has and what a shrewd businessman he is, like, that is a terrible, terrible, terrible investment right there. You just give $600 away and then leave.
You give 300 up front, 300 after. Like, just any business deal you would think, whereas cash like that you would do it that way.
Yeah, I mean, this guy, I don't know much about buying hookers, but that can't be the
let me
best way
tell
to go
you.
about doing it. Vance, our hooker expert over.
Well,
Yeah.
you definitely want to deal with someone that's not Brian or whatever he was going by.
Yeah.
Like, was that part of the deal? He was like, I'm bringing. But here's the thing: like, he was already going to this place before he ran into Marnie.
Yes.
So, and he didn't even, and he seemed surprised afterwards that she had hustled him for the money.
Yeah, he's like, this did not seem like it was your scene at all. I was like, whose scene is it? You don't fit in there at all either.
Yeah.
Everyone's in suits and gowns, and you're in Canadian tuxedo.
Yeah, how did you even get past security? Like, who let you in?
Who are you? What are you doing? What's happening at this party? And also, was he like offering Marnie as a hooker?
I don't know. I don't know. It's just like the scene that comes out of nowhere and then just ends. I was like, okay, this is going to come back later. I was like, oh, they're going to run into this guy, or like some people are going to be like, hey, stop passing off fake hookers to Charlie.
Yeah.
Like, and none of that happens. And at this point, I'm still thinking this is some kind of weird dream. The show doesn't do the dreams, but this is some weird dream.
Well, it looks like they walk out of the place together, but Charlie left her alone with the old man. And the old man did say something like this was part of the deal. So was Charlie just banking on her? Like, the Marnie that I know would have been like, okay, fuck that. That is not part of the deal. That guy's name isn't Brian. It's Charlie. I don't know what the fuck's happening here, but I don't approve it. I feel uncomfortable. I'm calling the cops.
Yeah. I was waiting for the Marnie that called out his friends who wanted to hit on her and quoting West Side Story and calling her Maria or something, like, and being like, you're not even doing that right. Like, that's the Marnie we know.
Yeah.
That Marnie.
Not Margit.
Yeah.
Perez. But like, I dude, it was so stupid.
I mean, I like the actual interaction, but I'm just don't get why it happened.
Yeah. Then they leave and Charlie's like, wow, I'm surprised you hustled that guy. And she's like, yeah, well, I'm pretty good at that kind of stuff. He's like, this does not seem like your scene. She's like, you don't know what my scene is. You've been gone for 2 years. I have a lot of life experience now.
And now I have $600 and I'm rich. Let's go get some food.
So then they go to a fancy Italian restaurant, it looks like.
Giant meatballs. Giant.
They're eating the finest Italian spaghettis New York has to offer.
The red wine is flowing.
The music is blasting. There's an accordion player. They're dancing.
Nothing like dancing with her in that bright red dress and Charlie just looking like he just came from cutting lumber. Oh man, in that small place, in that small restaurant, that small class restaurant,
they're the only ones dancing.
Like,
it looks like they were dancing in the kitchen at it's so small,
man.
So then after that, they're like walking somewhere and Marnie's telling him like, you know, half of my album is about you. And Charles like, oh really? She's like, yeah, Desi thinks that it's about him and the love that we share, but it's actually about you and having someone that you think that you love, but not really knowing where it's going or where it went and how it became lost. And Charlie is like, hey, that's all real cool. Come over here. Get on this boat. And it's like a little paddle boat.
Well, they're in Central Park walking around and they just see those like boats. And
which I need to say, I don't know if you've ever done it, Vance, but have you ever walked around Central Park at night?
No.
Dude, it's terrifying.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, no, doing Central Park strolls at night are things you see in movies and not things that you're advised to do as a person that lives in New York.
Yeah, man. I mean, I remember one time I was visiting New York and I was with my buddy at TIFF and we were in Central Park. We went in like at sundown and then it became night and then we were lost in Central Park, terrified because there's a bunch of homeless people there, or rats all over the place. And when we finally got out of Central Park, like we were on the complete opposite end of it, where we did not want to be, and we were so far from where we were supposed to be.
Yeah.
And it was scary the entire time.
Yeah, Central Park is huge. And yeah, well, if you're in it, like, and you don't know where you go, like, because it's winding paths and yeah.
Do not want to be doing that, but that's exactly what Marnie and Charlie are doing. Yeah. And Charlie's like, "Hey, come on over here, get on this boat." And then Marnie's like, "That's not our boat." I was like, "Did you have a boat?"
I do love Charlie's reaction to that. "Well, that's not our boat." Like, what are you talking about? Like,
yeah, you just hustled a guy out of $600 pretending to be a hooker,
and you're afraid to take public. It's like going to Echo Park and just like getting in one of those like little pedal boats, and it's like, yeah, we're just gonna take this boat. We can't like sail into the ocean. We're in the middle of the city. Like, we're just gonna have to come back.
For me, the way that it was said, it was like, that's not our boat, as if Charlie and Marnie had reserved a boat, or they owned a boat, and they're like, that's not our boat.
Exactly. That's why
Charlie's like, oh, that's not our boat. Fucking just get on the boat.
Yeah.
So she gets on the boat, and then they're paddling, and Marnie's doing this flirty lip bite, and then they start making out, and then they fall into the water. So romantic. And then Marnie's just underneath the water for an extended period of time, just staring, having some kind of artistic existential crisis.
Yeah.
And then Charlie pulls her up.
At this point, I'm like, okay, so it's a dream again. Like, we're still playing that fine line that this is all just a dream, right?
Yeah. So Charlie pulls her up, and he's like, whoa, you had me worried there for a second. And she's like, yeah, sorry, I just got lost in thought underwater, I guess. And he's like, well, I wasn't that worried because it's only like 2 feet deep. And I was like, then why were you fucking worried? Like,
and also, whatever. It's just, I know it's just there for like an artistic shot, and because, let's do that underwater, eyes open.
It was so stupid.
I thought it was going to be like a long sequence of them making out and having sex underwater forever, and it was going to be like a Shape of Water type situation. Where it's like,
God, that movie sucks ass.
We're like the two people that don't like that movie. But I mean, there's other people that probably don't like it. But
here's the thing: is The Shape of Water, I believe, is okay. Best Picture, no way. That movie was fucking. I can't. No,
it's not my jam. I have some issues with some of the things in that, but that's another podcast for another.
Yeah, that's we the Boys Watching Shape of Water. But yeah, what I was thinking was, when she was underwater, I thought that either number one, they were going to have sex or kiss underwater, or she was going to be staring, and then you were going to cut to Charlie staring back at her.
Yeah, I thought I was waiting for a shot of Charlie underwater, and then like at least them coming together, but it was just her.
No, it was just him pulling her out from under the water and be like, "Whoa, you were underwater for a while. What's up with that?"
It really takes meeting up with your ex, him being really shady, buying you a dress, crashing a party where you pretend to be an escort, and then falling off of a boat to say, you know what? I don't really love Desi.
yeah. To have you think like, maybe this isn't all it's cracked up to be.
Yeah.
Interesting. So they get on the subway soaking wet. They're walking past. They're in a shady part of town. And they walk past a guy who just says, "Give me your bag." And then Charlie's like, "What? No." And he like dismisses him, which I thought was fucking hilarious. Yeah. Then the guy's like, "No, I'm fucking serious. Give me your bag and your jewelry." And Charlie turns around and is like, "Dude, go back to your parents' house. Fucking don't do this." And then the guy's like, "No, I'm fucking serious. I'm robbing you. Give me your bag." Charlie pulls out a knife, sticks it in the guy's face. He's like, "I told you to get fucking lost." Then that guy, the robber, pulls out a gun, and Charlie's like, "Oh, Jesus! Give him your bag, give me your wallet, give me your earrings!"
Which was great, because it really, because I was like, oh, okay. I was thinking the title of this episode, Panic in Central Park. And here they're back in Brooklyn, it seems, where this is happening. And I'm just like, oh, is Charlie going to die? here.
I thought it was either Charlie was going to die or Charlie was going to kill the guy.
Yeah, I was like, okay, this is going to get real dark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, Charlie retreats. He tells Marnie, give him everything. Yeah. And then Marnie's like, he didn't say don't give him my earrings. He's like, just give them to him.
He was going to ask.
Yeah. So she gives it all to him, and then he runs away. And then Marnie, I wrote this down because this is the most Marnie white privilege fucking white girl line ever. She says, I didn't know people get robbed like that anymore. It's like, you fucking...
And it kind of goes with what happens towards the end with what Desi says about her.
But it was so... The person that robbed them didn't seem like that's not the type of person that I would expect to... Like, he didn't look like a junkie or anything.
Well, I mean,
he just looked like a dude.
He had that fidgetiness to him, so he could have been a tweaker. Who knows? But yeah, I mean...
Dude, I look more like a tweaker or junkie than that
But I'm
guy
happy they didn't just cast a generic, like, oh, this is what you've seen. Like, because when you think about people who've robbed people, you're thinking of what you've seen on TV, not what you've actually seen in real life. So, like, this is probably how it happens. Like, it's not... It wasn't just like, oh, some, like, shady black guy or, like, some Hispanic guy, like Charlie's friends that did it, you know? At first, I did think this. I did think this was part of Charlie's hustle still.
I thought that this was going to end like that one Anne Hathaway movie where she becomes a prostitute for like a Mexican gang. What was that movie?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Fuck.
Well, I thought Charlie had like said, hey, she's got this money. He made a phone call, said we're gonna walk this way. Please rob us, you know? Like because when he starts grabbing the earrings, it seems like he's, you know, hustling, you know, pretend to be tough. This guy steals stuff. And then he's like, oh no, give the earrings too. You know, like because he knows she has the money on her. He knows she has like that wedding ring.
The movie that I was thinking of is Havoc.
I've never seen that. I don't even think I've heard of that.
I thought it was gonna. It's not like a big movie, but I think it was like one of the first ones where like Anne Hathaway showed her boobs or something, and you know it was 2005. I was 15 years old.
She shows them in Brokeback Mountain.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It's more boobs in that movie than
wieners for what it's about. That is very odd.
I love Brokeback Mountain is a good movie. Like really good.
I've actually never seen it.
It's really good. Gyllenhaal and Heath Ledger kill it in that movie. It is insane that they let that movie be named Brokeback Mountain. Like it's so... It's just made to be memed and joked. Like I remember seeing a trailer and then the title came up in the theater and I was like, everyone was like, what?
So after they get robbed, they go back to Charlie's house, and Charlie's trap house.
Domicile.
His abode, which does not have the nice built furniture and stuff that his old apartment had. It is kind of like a mattress on the floor, dark, scary place. Marnie mentions he's got a plastic trash bag on his window to keep the light out, and he's like, oh no, I sleep in a lot. And she's like, I'm done trying to fix people. You're just gonna like this is the time where you do need to fix somebody.
This is the time where you realize, hey, Charlie does not have his shit together.
No, dude, there's so many red flags going on in this episode for you to be like, Charlie, you shouldn't be around Charlie.
Yeah.
First off, the people that he was with at the beginning, they seem very shady. Then pulling out the cash at the dress store, that's shady as fuck. Then going to this party in his Canadian tuxedo, letting you pass yourself off as a hooker, going by Brian, and then people saying he's bringing the cocaine for the night. That's not a good sign.
Yeah.
Then him pulling out a knife. Like the boat thing is the least egregious thing in this episode, I think.
Oh yeah, that's just casual like rom-com-y Like, if this was a rom-com and he just took her out on a boat, that would be fine.
He pulls out a knife on the guy that's robbing them. That's fucking suspicious.
Yeah.
And then you go back to his place and he lives in a trap house.
Squalor. He lives in squalor.
There's no other way.
I think that place might be bigger than Marnie and Desi's, though. So that's probably why she didn't flinch. She was like, "Oh yeah, I can see this."
Oh wow, he's got a pretty big place.
No half-built wall in the middle. Great.
So they're cuddling, and then Charlie's like, "Let's just run away. Let's run away together tomorrow morning. Let's just get up, run away, start a general store in a place that needs a general store." And Marnie's like, "Yeah, I don't need any of my stuff. I hate all of my stuff. My life sucks. Let's do it. Let's run away." And then they fuck. Which...
So, some notes on this one. Charlie mentions that he has money.
Mm-hmm.
Which is like, what is he talking about? He has money? Okay, sure. He also has tattoos.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them. The one on his chest says "Humble Life."
Okay, I couldn't see what his tattoos said because I have been watching this in standard definition and not high definition. And if it's dark, I don't see shit.
Why are you watching it in standard def?
Because it's $4 cheaper.
All right, everyone just learned
Dude,
a lot
I wish that this was a video podcast to see the disappointment on Vance's face when I said that it was like I think it might be $10 cheaper.
I'm going to go to sidebar because I was like, hey, watch this on your computer at one point with headphones because you're like, no, I want to watch it on the TV because I like to watch it big. And you're like, I can't hear it with the air conditioning and blah, blah, blah. And then I had to talk you into putting captions on so we could do a podcast the right way. And now you're saying that you're watching a show that was made in 2016 in 2020 in standard def to the point where you can't read tattoos on someone's chest.
Dude, I'm gonna be honest, when they were walking through Central Park, I couldn't see Marnie and Charlie.
Hey, we're gonna start a GoFundMe so you guys can send Joe $4 so he can splurge on the HD version of TV.
Yeah, for season 6. For season 6, I gotta splurge on the HD so I can see what's happening. So his tattoo says "Humble Life." What's the one on his stomach? It just looks like a bunch of bars.
I don't know. It looked like he had like a wound there, or like one was being done or something. I couldn't tell what was going on his stomach.
Yeah, it looked like he had electrical tape taped on his
it looked
chest.
like he just had a tattoo done or something, and the tape was
there. Okay, so look at Mr. High Definition over here. He doesn't know what he's looking at either.
Sorry. I could tell the one that was on his chest clear as day because I watched it in HD. And I watched it on my laptop. And I watched it on my laptop.
Was that one bit of information worth $4?
I don't even know if you've ever seen the Japan episodes right now. You're like, why is it all just blocky, shiny lights?
Yeah, I don't know. It wasn't worth, like, was the Humble Life tattoo worth the $4? For me, it wasn't. It's not. It didn't add anything to the episode.
What are you doing? Are you buying the whole season or episodes?
I'm buying the whole season in standard def. So we have to wait until season 6 for me to get HD, which the GoFundMe will fund.
They're just... You get to start your own GoFundMe. I'm not doing it.
Venmo me. It's Joe-Welke. Venmo me the however much it costs. Otherwise, we're just going to have to discontinue this podcast.
You have to upgrade for the rest of the season.
Okay, well, if you want to Venmo me for an upgrade for the rest of the season, then it's going to be $30.
Charlie, you've been living like Charlie. Like, I wasn't going to mention the trash bag behind you.
Oh, God. So, yeah. So they fuck. And then Marnie's, after they bang, Marnie's like, it's kind of cold in here. I'm going to take a shower. And then Charlie says, it's down the hall, which is another red flag.
Was it in the hall, like the hall of the building or whatever? Like, what, like, or just in the hall of
it's
the
like apartment? A communal shower, I think.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like.
like a dormitory
Or a hostel. Yeah.
or a trap house. He's living in
Yeah.
a flop house, dude.
Yeah.
He's living in a trap house.
Yeah.
So Marnie goes to take a shower, and then somebody like enters the shower, like the room where the shower is, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" This was like horror movie vaguely.
I knew someone was going to go in because I felt like they were in like the public bathroom spot, you know?
Yeah, yeah. So someone comes in, Marnie says hi, and then the girl that comes in, she's like, "Oh, late night, huh?" Marnie's like, "Yeah." They're making like idle small talk, and then that girl just spills her life onto Marnie.
Yeah, and she's played by Julia Garner from Ozark and Americans. 2-time Emmy winner, Julia Garner.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. I've never seen either of those shows, so I did not recognize her whatsoever. But she's talking about how her girlfriend left her at some train stop. I don't know. I wasn't really paying that much attention, to be honest.
It's something that almost implied either like she had like a lesbian relationship or that she was working as an escort or something too. Like it was. I was like kind of wrapped up in like, oh, this is Julia Garner here, and then like, what's gonna happen? Like I was like,
Yeah.
I thought I thought something bigger was gonna happen past the story, but yeah.
Me too. I thought that it was going to be like revealed that, so she was going to be like, "Oh, who are you here with?" And she's like, "Oh, Charlie." And she's like, "Charlie, he's a fucking pimp or something was going to come out of this."
Well,
but nothing comes out of
She's
this.
credited in this episode as Charlie's roommate. That's her title.
Huh. I mean,
And there was her, and the
be.
big thing is like, she's like, "Oh, you're using my towel." And then she like gives her a different towel. So, I mean, I feel like
maybe I'm giving Charlie a little less credit than I should be. Maybe he does have an apartment if he has a roommate.
Yeah, maybe it's like a really rundown apartment and it's 2-bedroom, and I don't know. Like,
because to me, it looked like a rundown hostel.
Well, do you remember when, I know you couldn't see this in your SD, but do you remember when he comes in? When he comes into the apartment, does he just walk straight into his room, or does he open like an apartment door to get in?
Honestly, I didn't see that, not because of the SD, but because I was writing down something about the robbery.
I wasn't sure if he like pulled out keys, and like that's why I don't know if the way it's filmed too. I can't tell if that's like just this one room or were they coming from like being in the apartment to. I think, and this is right after them falling off the boat, right? So I was like,
no, this is after them getting robbed.
Oh, after them getting robbed. Yeah. So I was like, still like thinking about that and being like, wait, what's going on?
Yeah, I was writing down that quote. I didn't know people get robbed anymore while they did that. But I'll give it to you, Vance, that if I did see it, I probably wouldn't have been able to tell anyway because the SD.
Oh, you're sad, Joe.
Yeah. So the girl that's in it, she's like, "Oh, give me my towel back." She gives Marnie another towel. And then she says, "Hey, you have nice tits." And Marnie's like, "Thank you." And then so Marnie goes back to Charlie's apartment, and now it's morning somehow.
Well, I think when she goes to the bathroom, it's morning. I think this like because they have sex and then time passes.
And then they cut to like the next day.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. So she knocks something off of the bed and she finds a needle on the ground. And she's like, "Charlie, what the fuck is this? How did you not see this coming?"
And he also has the rubber, like it's not just a needle, it's like a vial, and then also the like rubber tourniquet that you would use to like find a vein to shoot up heroin. Yeah.
And Charlie's like, "Oh, I'm diabetic." And she's like, "Sure you are."
That was my favorite line of Charlie. Just like, "Oh, I'm diabetic. That's it."
Yeah.
Like, and now that was like the thing where she's like, "Oh, well, now I can't be with you."
Right?
What?
That's the deal breaker.
I could have. It would have been just fine if she walked in there, saw him sleeping, and just was like, "What am I doing?" and just left.
Yeah.
Him. Like she didn't need another thing.
So she leaves. doesn't have her shoes. For what reason?
Why?
The robber didn't take her shoes.
No.
Did he?
No. She also can change out. Well, she got rid of the bag, so she doesn't have her clothes or whatever. But
yeah, I was curious about that too. And I was like, oh yeah, the bag.
Also, does not seem concerned about not having a phone or wallet, credit cards.
No. No, she just walks out of the trap house and
all the money she's lost, losing her wedding and engagement ring. Like, no.
So she starts walking around barefoot, walking around New York City, barefoot.
Cleanest city in the world.
She's definitely getting hepatitis or something. Like,
well, I was thinking about that when she was walking. I was like, okay, so I wonder all the work put in to like clean, like just to sweep the streets, because there are people that walk around outside barefoot. I don't think Allison Williams is that person, you know. So I'm like, hey, you guys are gonna have to make sure the path that she's walking on is like clear, you know. Like,
yeah. I don't think any smart person would do that. Mm-hmm. But you know, Marnie, I guess she was just trying to get out as soon as possible. Left her shoes there. Who knows?
You don't have to rush when someone's on heroin.
When someone's like passed the fuck out on heroin.
And you're not freaking out by the roommate because she didn't freak you out either.
I'm going to be real. I have a prediction based on everything that's happened in this episode.
Okay.
I'm predicting that Marnie gets like some like hepatitis or HIV or something.
Wow, that is a big prediction.
Yeah, dude, as soon as she started fucking Charlie, I was like, this is not smart at all. You've seen all the shady shit that this guy has been up to, and then you're just going to bang him. It didn't look like they even had a condom. You know, like that.
But it's Charlie. Something. So you would go with that instead of her just being pregnant with Charlie's kid and never being able to find Charlie?
Oh, my God. That'd be...
That would be... I'm going to make that my prediction then, because
she's pregnant with Charlie's kid.
Adam raises the baby with her.
Well, I had a little thought after what happens next. So she walks all the way back to her apartment where Desi is sitting on the stairs with a pillow because he's been waiting all night for her and like wondering where she is and concerned generally. Mm-hmm. She walks up, and this is the most sense that Desi has ever made in this show. She walks up and Desi goes, "What the fuck? Where have you been? Where did you get that dress? Where are your shoes? Where are your rings? What happened to you?" Mm-hmm. And Marnie's just like, "Yeah, sorry. I don't want to be married to you anymore."
And she says in that accent, yeah.
"Hey, sorry, bub. I don't want to be married to you anymore."
"We good, pal?" She punches him on the shoulder.
Yeah. And Desi's like, "What the hell is happening?" And he's like, "Okay, I guess I'll have to take it, but it's not going to end well for you, I don't think." And I was like, "What?"
Yeah, I was getting real threatening vibes. I thought he was like, "Oh, I'm not giving you a divorce," or something. You know?
Yeah. And she's like, "What do you mean it's not going to end well for me?" And then Desi's like, "Look, you're probably going to get murdered. You have such little awareness about the world. It wouldn't surprise me if you get murdered. He just kept repeating, like, "You're going to get murdered."
Yeah. And I was like, what we've seen, he's not 100% wrong.
Yes.
But wow, I was like, is this show really going to do that? Would this show kill off Marnie?
Yeah, dude. It's just like...
If she dies, then Desi's right, and the show doesn't want Desi to be right.
No. Nobody wants Desi to be right, because he's the worst. But also, Marnie's the worst. And she goes on a rant about, like, she doesn't know who she even is anymore, and the last couple years don't even feel real, and she's got some serious shit to work out, and she doesn't know anything, but the one thing that she does know is she does not want to be with Desi. And Desi says, "Well, why are you doing this? Like, just try to remember the beginning, the hope." And then Marnie goes, "The beginning? You mean when you had a girlfriend and I'd see you like twice a week and we'd fuck and you'd cover my face with a pillow because you couldn't stand the guilt of cheating on your girlfriend? And then Desi's like, oh yeah.
And doesn't Marty say something about like I got married because I wanted to know that I could have everything I dreamed of or whatever?
Yeah, she says something like she got married because she didn't want to give up on another dream.
Is the dream just to be married? Because guess what? You have plenty of opportunities. I feel like that. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, sure, it's hard to find, but she knew right away she didn't love this guy. Like,
yeah,
and getting married like to Desi was just going to be a horrible end game.
yeah, dude, it was the dumbest thing. And then like even she's like, dude, you need to go to therapy. I definitely need to go to therapy. I don't know if you're going to go to therapy, but I got some shit to work out. She's like, I'm spiraling, which is what I've been saying for the last 2 seasons.
Well, I mean, her whole thing about like I don't know where I am is the same stuff she was saying to Ray when she was complaining to Ray before they hooked up. And I was like,
yeah,
I'm like, Ray, you're dodging such a bullet here, man.
Yeah, dude.
Like this girl's a mess right now.
So then we see Hannah in bed with Fran, and then Marnie comes in and gets in the bed with them, which does she still have a key to Hannah's place? I didn't think that they were that cool anymore. And also, is Fran going to be cool with like waking up like, what the fuck?
I was waiting for that moment too. Like
me too.
And it's an interesting way to have that happen after last episode where Hannah's been saying, hey, I think I'm going to break up with Fran. She goes through her like her lesbian experience of the thing. And like, it's really tough to tell what she's thinking. And then the only tidbit we get is that she's in bed with Fran, arm around him. Seemed like everything's copacetic. Yeah, I don't know. And I hate, I like, I'll say it all the time. Like, we do not get female friendships and relationships, but I hate that Marnie always comes to Hannah when something bad happens to her, and then she's like wants to cuddle up. You know, it's
trash. Marnie, I mean,
you got to be there for the good times and the bad. You can't be there just for the bad times.
The last episode we did our likability rankings. I had Marnie at the bottom, and this episode just further cemented that. Like, she is firmly entrenched
at the bottom.
Shoshana's at the bottom?
Yeah, we did a whole thing, and we made Shoshana at the bottom.
I don't know. I must have been listening to our podcast back again in SD.
Yeah. You're listening to this on AM radio.
Yeah.
You're stealing the
I'm pirating our own podcast. The podcast that we've created together.
No, we put Shoshana down because of all of what she did to Yoshi. And if you mess with the boys in these shows, we lower your ranking. What she did to Yoshi and Soup Guy.
And Scott, the Soup Man. And that's the episode. I did not like this episode. I'm happy that she's not sticking with Desi, and I hope that we don't see Desi anymore.
Well, I think we'll still see him. Like, I don't think this is the end of Desi. I think we'll get another episode and a half out of him, at least.
Do you think this is the end of their musical partnership?
That was the thing I wanted to think about. Like, when she was planning to run away with Charlie, she's like, I don't like any of my stuff. I'm gonna go. Yeah. And I'm like,
it's like, do you have like a record deal?
Like, isn't that your job? Like, I don't think they have other jobs. I think their job is making music, which is great. But how does this? Like, I think that's the thing that keeps Desi around for at least the rest of the seasons, that they have to go in and do music. And if you do music, you have to go on tours. And if you go on tours, you're being with that person. So I don't know.
I have no fucking idea. Do you have any final thoughts on this?
You had some predictions, though. You said.
No, my prediction was that Marnie's going to get HIV or hepatitis or something.
But then I said,
my prediction, the little sneaking thing at the end, was when she broke up with Desi, I was like, well, now she's open for Adam.
Oh, okay.
That was when as soon as I saw that they were breaking up, I was like, oh, she's open. Well, Adam, slide on it.
I'm gonna say it's more likely that she's pregnant with Charlie's baby than she is that she's got HIV or some like incurable STD.
But don't you think that that's something that girls would do.
They would do
is
it.
Give somebody HIV.
No, they would do it with a fringe character. They wouldn't do it with one of the main four.
Okay, like Laird or something.
Yeah, not with Laird now, but Laird, like if he wasn't with Adam's sister, something like that. Like it could be Elijah's old boyfriend pal could like show up and be like, "Hey, I have this. You might want to blah blah blah, or whatever." They would do something like that to have it be an issue. But I don't think
they have an issue that needs to be tackled or whatever,
or just so you could talk about it or whatever. But I don't think they would put that kind of thing on a main character because that would override the whole season. Like it wouldn't be like, oh, Marnie has HIV. That's an episode. No, that would just be what they talked about for like the next 10 episodes. Like it would always be there.
I don't know, man. I'm worried about Marnie because when she does it, when they start fucking, I think Charlie does say something like, "Oh,"
I think he was like just reacting to putting it in. Like I don't think that
I don't know, man. I don't know. I think that's like a little like hint of like
you think
okay.
when people like they have STDs or HIV when they have sex with people, they go, "Whoa." Like,
dude,
you think that was you think that was the moment he realized he remembered that he had it, not the whole day that was planning towards this.
See, I think that this was just such a weird thing in fantasy that once it came to that, like he'd have difficulty telling her that, and also like Charlie's a fucking shady person.
Yeah, but we don't know who he's banging.
Yeah, but he's doing needle drugs.
Dude, they've been banging random people all the time. Like, I don't think he's been doing needle drugs. Yeah, sure.
I'm just saying he's probably he's in. It seems like the world of prostitutes. He's doing needle drugs. He's a drug dealer. Like, he's not up to good things.
I think if she got any type of sexual transmitted disease, it would be something curable, like easily curable, not a long-term thing.
All right. Well,
also,
I'm sticking to my guns. Hepatitis.
If she ends up with like HIV, like then she can't date Ray. She can't hook up with Adam. Like,
sure she can. She can just say that she has HIV and then like do the treatments. People with HIV, their fucking love lives don't end when they get HIV.
I don't know enough about that, but I don't think you're just having sex with people with HIV. Like if Charlie had HIV, I don't think he would be. I don't think that's fully right. Like that's how you catch HIV. I don't know why why Ray would have sex with her with HIV. Like that's
because Ray loves her.
All right. If anyone knows information, like feel free to write in and we'll bring it up next podcast because I just don't know enough about that. I've seen commercials for like Truvada and stuff like that or whatever. Those commercials that air.
Or like PrEP or whatever.
Yeah, but I don't know exactly.
But like, do you think that only people with HIV only date other people with HIV?
Maybe, probably. Like, I don't think like if you knew if you knew a girl had HIV, you would still sleep with her.
I mean, if you like knew more about it. But like, just because maybe I wouldn't, but other people would. Like people with HIV, like it is like a serious thing,
yeah.
But it doesn't mean that like they're incapable of dating anyone anymore, or
I don't know.
All right, well, we'll have to find out on the next episode, which I don't think we'll address this at all.
I don't think it ever is going to come up. I think if this prediction of yours is true, feel free to just shout it from the rooftops. But I'm saying
I'll rub it in. I'll get on the rooftop of my apartment building. Marnie had HIV.
Yeah, I'm thinking if anything, she's like pregnant with Charlie's baby, or she's pregnant and doesn't know if it's Charlie's or Desi's or whatever. But other than that,
oh, that'd be wild too.
I think that's more entertaining than a character going through what you're talking about.
I don't know. It seems like that'd be something that Lena Dunham would like want to be like an issue that she wants to tackle. Like, hey, like this is what it's like when you blah blah blah. Like there've been abortions. Yeah, but like that's something you could tackle in an episode or two, not like something that like changes the person's outlook for like the rest of the series. Well, maybe that question will be answered in the next episode, which is titled Hello Kitty.
I think that's going to be more of a Shoshana episode.
Oh, God. Any final thoughts on this one before we wrap it up?
No, you've depressed me.
All right. Well, thank you for listening, everybody. Stay tuned for the next episode where we talk about Hello Kitty. See ya.
Get in.
That's not our boat.
That's our boat? Did you really just say that?
Shut up.
That's not our boat. Oh no, it's not our boat.